Hello everyone, it's Shannon here for Waffle Flower Crafts. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a really sweet pull tab card using some new products from Waffle Flower's May release. First up is the Let Love Grow combo. This is the Let Love Grow stamp set and matching die. This was illustrated by Helen Dardick. I love her designs. These are really cute little garden spirits. They're just adorable. I'll also be using the pull tabs die. I will use this die set to create my pull tab. This is a really handy die set, makes pull tabs super easy. And I'll also be using the scenery die to create a hill or grassy mound. I've already gone ahead and stamped some images from the Let Love Grow stamp set on watercolor paper. Watercolor paper has a smooth side and a textured side. I stamped the images on the smooth side in VersaFine Onyx Black, which is a waterproof ink. Now I'm going to do some watercoloring with distress inks. I have 3 colors, Lucky Clover, Cracked Pistachio, and Crushed Olive to start with. Underneath these stamped images is a piece of plastic. It's actually clear, but I have a white paper underneath so you can see the colors a little bit better. This plastic actually came with my scoreboard, but you can use like a piece of acetate that your stamps come with, or even laminated piece of white paper. There's lots of ways you can create a palette. So I just smushed the inks down onto my plastic and then sprayed a little bit of water to the right, and I'm going to pull from that water and mix it in with my brush, just small amounts at a time to control the intensity of color. The more water you add, the lighter the color will be. So I am being very careful with my water usage. I don't want to water down the ink too much so it's very, very light. I'm starting with Cracked Pistachio here and just starting to color this super cute little garden spirit with this Cracked Pistachio. This is my light green, and I'm going to color pretty much everything that's going to be green with this light green first. So all the stems and leaves, and even on the little spirit herself, just kind of do a nice gradation, almost kind of like a bulb. I really like that look of it, having that gradation over her face. And now I'm moving into my darker color, which is Lucky Clover. And again, I added just a little bit of water with my brush to the ink, getting it a little bit more fluid, and then I start coloring it in. I am coloring now all the stems and leaves with this Lucky Clover, which is a darker green. Lucky Clover works really well with Cracked Pistachio. It's almost like a darker tone of the same color. And I will finish these leaves off after I kind of color the base of the leaf and the stems with a little bit of the crushed olive. I really like how the crushed olive adds just a completely different tone of green and really livens up the color. It makes it a little bit warmer and less cool, and it just is nice to kind of mix your greens a little bit and try some different colors. So I'm just finishing up the Lucky Clover here, and now I'm moving on to that crushed olive, and you can see how nice that little bit of different kind of a green color really adds some more life to this image and really kind of makes it more interesting. So I just add that crushed olive just to the ends of the leaves, and a little bit even to the oh gosh, I don't know what you call it, that stem right at the base of the strawberry, and a little bit down on this little sprite's feet, just creating a really pretty gradation where it blends from that crushed olive to the cooler greens of the Lucky Clover and Cracked Pistachio. Now I'm moving on to the strawberries and flowers and the butterfly. I have 4 shades. First is Candied Apple, then Scattered Straw, Spiced Marmalade, and Black Soot. And again, I cleaned my palette, spraying some water to the right and mixing a little bit of water with the ink. I'm going to play some music here and let you guys follow along, and I will meet you back when I'm just about done. So I'm back, I'm just about finished. I'm cleaning up where I got a little bit of the black soot outside of the eye. Just with a clean brush and clean water, you can pick up ink from any areas wherever you don't want it. So that's a really nice quality of watercolor. Now I've went ahead and die cut the images out with the matching dies. I've also already colored the other garden spirit off camera. Now I'm going to take a white gel pen and add just a little dot of white to each one of those the seeds on the strawberries. I'm going to only show it to this one garden spirit now, but I'll do the other one off camera. So I do put white gel pen on all the little strawberry seeds. So I'm going to put the die cuts aside now and start working on some of the other components of my card. So on the right, I have an A2 panel of pink cardstock, and I have Waffle Flower's Tickled Pink dye ink. I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending at the very top portion of this A2 panel. This is actually going to be a A2 top folding card turned on its side, so this will be a horizontal card design. So I'm just ink blending at the top just to kind of create a sense of sky. And now I'm moving that aside, and I'm going to do a little ink blending on this green cardstock. So this is 5.5 by 2.5, and I've already stamped my sentiment from the Let Love Grow stamp set at the lower right corner. And now I'm going to take a little bit of Lucky Clover Distress ink and blend at the upper portion as well. And this is going to be our grassy hill or mound. I'm going to blend a little ink first, and now I'm going to die cut. I found that this die cut is the little grass or sprouts that you cut with this die are very, very thin and frail. So I found that it was a little easier to die cut it first, but I will actually do a little bit of blend. I'm sorry, not die cut it first. Blend it first, then die cut it. But I will do a little bit of blending even after I die cut it here. So I just centered my die, put some purple tape on it, and now I'm going to run it through the die cutting machine. Now I'll remove the die, and you can see it cuts a cute little grass or sprouts. And now I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending. You can even see where I didn't let the ink dry completely, and I did pick a little bit up of the ink off the cardstock with my fingertips. But once I do a little bit of careful ink blending here, because I don't want to kind of bend and rip the little sprouts, and I'll set that aside, and so it'll dry, and then I won't pick any more of the ink up. Now I'm going to go ahead and start creating my pull tab elements or pieces. This is a scrap of pink cardstock, the same color as the A2 panel that we blended earlier, and I'm going to cut the pull tab, the tab, and the little bridge out of this pink cardstock. So I'm just going to place it on the cardstock and run it through my die cutting machine. I'm not using that whole pull tab, so I'm not worried about that portion at the top that has some cut out pieces and already die cut. I'm only really going to need that lower 2/3. I'm just going to pop everything out of the dies, and then I will start to create the channel. So this is the A2 panel that we blended earlier. I've grabbed the grassy mound here just to help me figure out where that little garden spirit needs to sit, so you can see a fair amount of the strawberries. And I'm just using a pencil here to mark the center of the garden spirit and where the garden spirit's feet should be. The first thing I'm going to do before I cut that channel for the or track for the pull tab is I'm going to cut the little tab opening. So I'm grabbing a die here from the pull tabs die set, just centering it over that center line that I made, and then I will run it through my die cutting machine. With my notch cut, I now can create or die cut my track. So I'm going to grab the track die from the pull tabs die set, and I'm going to position it just above the line that I made at the bottom of the feet of the garden spirit. Use some purple tape here to hold it in place, and then I'm going to turn it around here because I do not want to completely die cut this track. I need to do partial die cutting because I need to stop just about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of the notch. If we die cut this track completely out, when you pull on the pull tab, you'll pull the pull tab completely out of your card, and then it's very difficult at that point to reassemble the card. So you definitely need that stopping point. Now I'm going to take the pull tab that I cut earlier, and I'm going to open the little doors or the flaps here, fold them out, and now I'm going to feed those little flaps through the track. It's pretty easy to just get one of the little flaps through and then use a tool like tweezers or a pin tool to poke through the other flap. Once you get both flaps through, then you'll kind of fan them out. And then I'm going to take the little bridge piece that you saw there. It looks just like a little rectangle. Add a little bit of liquid adhesive to the flaps, just a small amount. I'm even using my tool here, my die cutting tool, to kind of spread the glue around a little bit because I don't want a lot of glue. You want to be really careful that you don't get too much glue and you glue the pull tab to the track, because if it's glued to the track, then it won't pull and move freely. So I just checked it there, pulled it a couple times, and then I set it aside to dry a little bit. Now that it's dried, I'm ready to assemble more of the pull tab. So I have a little bit of overhang here. You can see how it's going. The pull tab is actually beyond the A2 card base or A2 card panel. I'm going to trim that off, but first I'm going to grab that garden spirit die cut, position it here the way I want it to be, making sure that bridge piece is behind that spirit's little head. And you can see here how I don't actually want that pull tab all the way down, because then it's too low and my garden spirit will be too low, hiding too much behind the grass. So once I have that track or pull tab where I want it to go, I snipped off the excess and then glued down my little tab. I like how the little tab has a little arrow on it, which really helps the receiver know, like, oh, this is an interactive card. Once I have that glued, I'm going to flip the card panel over and then glue this extra track that I cut using 110-pound cardstock directly to the back of that pull tab. I'm doing this to add extra strength to that pull tab. The cardstock that I'm using, or I should say the pink cardstock that I'm using, is actually only 65 weight, so it's not very strong, kind of flimsy. So by gluing that 110-pound piece to the back, you really add some strength so that pull tab can handle several times being pulled out and pushed back down without kind of collapsing. I'm using the scrap here that I cut off of that 110-pound pull tab down onto my card, or I should say over the pull tab to kind of hold it in place. I just used a little bit of glue on both of the ends of that little extra strip and then glued it down. This will kind of hold it in place. What I'm doing right now is to ensure that that pull tab doesn't get pushed any lower. I took a little piece of washi tape, and that washi tape will stop the pull tab from going any further, because again, I cut that pull tab just a little too long. So this is a handy trick if you do cut it too long, how you can kind of modify it and not have to scrap the whole paper. Now I'm taking a tape runner and just adding a little bit of tape to around the pull tab mechanism. I didn't put any of that tape on the pull tab mechanism. If you do put tape on it, you won't be able to pull it and move it anymore. So make sure you go around the whole pull tab element. Now I'm ready to glue down my little garden spirit. I just put a little bit of liquid glue right on top of the bridge and glued her head right to the bridge. I've already added foam tape to the back side of this grassy mound. I left openings in the foam tape for the garden spirits. You have to especially leave an opening for the pull tab little garden spirit so she can move up and out of, or up and down behind that grassy mound. I've also added foam tape to the second garden spirit here, and I'm just going to tuck her down inside and then press down the flowers and leaves. I've even added foam tape already to the butterfly, just removing the backing here, and that goes right over the sentiment. Now I'm just going to test my pull tab here. The glue is still wet. That liquid adhesive I used to glue down that garden spirit is still a little wet, so I'm going to make a little adjustments here. I think she's sitting a little too low. You can see how low that the strawberries look. So what I'm going to do is pull it out here a little bit and then slide her up just a tiny bit on that bridge. There I do it. So it's about the same height as the other little strawberry spirit. And then I'm now going to set this aside to dry completely. So now that it's completely dry, I'll really hold it up to the camera here so you can see. I love all this. I really love coloring these garden spirits. They're just so fun. You can really do some beautiful gradations on their faces and belly or bodies and on the leaves as well. And there's several different garden spirits in the Let Love Grow stamp set. So lots of fun coloring. And I really like the pull tab element of this card. It's really a fun reveal because you can't see that little garden spirit until you pull her out and then you see her cute little face. I hope you enjoyed today's card. If you want any more information on the products I use, please visit waffleflower.com, and you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for more creative ideas. Thanks for watching.